After serving more than a year behind bars in New Jersey for assaulting a former girlfriend, David Goodell was transferred in 2010 to a sprawling halfway house in Newark. One night, Mr. Goodell escaped, but no one in authority paid much notice. He headed straight for the suburbs for another young woman who had spurned him, and he killed her, the police said. So begins a series of reports from the New York Times about the for-profit system of halfway houses for prisoners in New Jersey. One of the biggest profiteers in that system is William Palatucci. He is Chris Christie's close friend and campaign fundraiser. This episode of Christie Crony Capitalism is enough to destroy Christie's chances of being selected for the Republican vice presidential nomination if he ever had a chance. Rejoining me now is MSNBC's Steve Kornacki, the Last Word's senior New Jersey political analyst. Steve, I wanted you on set for this historic moment on the show because we're going to put up the big board of our vice presidential possibilities for Chris Christie, and I am officially going to put up the very first X on that board going across the Chris Christie slot. He's out of it. It's hopeless. The New York Times had this story of someone being killed as a result of this program, and another one. This is the Willie Horton story on steroids. It's the Willie Horton story with profiteering in it for Christie's friend, William Palatucci. What can you tell us about Chris Christie and William Palatucci? You know all these New Jersey guys.
Yeah, I
you have Palatucci's cell phone number, I'm betting.
You know, Palatucci was very good to me in my New Jersey days.
I know what that means.
I want to say first,
I know what that means.
But I'm happy to tell you the story of
Did
Bill
he call
Palatucci.
you from payphones, or did you use his cell phone?
No. This was all in the up and up. Yeah. And I'll be happy to tell you the story of Bill Palatucci and Chris Christie, because I think it's an interesting one. And It explains everything about where Chris Christie is right now.
By the way, you have exactly 3 minutes to try to get that X taken off of Chris Christie on the board and get him restored to life in the Veep states.
I don't think I can.
Take your time. You got 3 minutes.
I don't think I want to, because I don't think it's possible right now.
All right.
But the relationship goes back just over a decade ago, and it's hard to believe now, but at the end of the 1990s, Chris Christie was absolutely washed up in New Jersey politics. He'd been voted out of local office in Morris County, and he was basically a has-been and a joke. His friend, Bill Palatucci, who was a veteran Republican political operative, was tied in with the Bush world. And so this is around 1998, 1999, and they're getting ready to launch the George W. Bush 2000 campaign, which is going to be the most lavishly funded presidential campaign you've ever seen. So Palatucci goes down to Austin, he gets recruited, and he comes back, and he gets his team together in New Jersey. And who does he turn to? Turns to his friend Chris Christie. This is the ultimate political rehabilitation, all behind the scenes for Chris Christie. He becomes one of the most prolific Bush fundraisers in 2000. When that campaign ends, when Bush becomes president-elect, Palatucci, the story goes to the Bush folks and says, this guy is your next U.S. attorney for New Jersey.
This is, in effect, through the campaign finance system, the, in effect, purchase of a U.S. attorney.
Well, and the thing was, there was an uproar in the legal community in New Jersey because Chris Christie was not a conventional pick for this job. This was, he was a lawyer, yes, but this is not a guy whose background suggested this guy should be a federal, U.S. attorney for New Jersey. What he did with that job, now he got high marks, especially from the press, because what he did with that job was he went after political corruption intensely. Lots of high-profile convictions, indictments, arrests, perp walks, all sorts of things like that. Got a ton of publicity for himself. Now, you could say this was all playing the long game for 2009 and running for governor. And really, yes, I mean, the U.S. attorney normally in New Jersey would not be a natural candidate to run for governor. But Chris Christie was a very visible U.S. attorney. So it was that Bush role that Palatucci got for him, way back, that put him on course to become governor, and now he's a national figure.
Now, I'm Xing him out because of the Last Words investigation, of the New York Times investigation of this crony capitalism that involves life or death situations that turned out to be death situations. This is you can't possibly get him past that. But prior to that, did Christie really ever have any chance in this?
I don't think so, because there have been signals out of the Romney camp, and you can take these with a grain of salt, but there have been signals that they did not think Chris Christie was the kind of team player that you want to have as a vice president. I mean,
okay, but what about in New Jersey? He's got a 50% approval rating. Shouldn't you be stronger in your own state than that?
Yes and no, but again, New Jersey's a blue state, so in a way, when he won an election, the simple fact of him winning by 4.5 points in 2009, that's a landslide by Republican standards in New Jersey. And if you look at it right now,
even those numbers show that he has appeal across the Republican line.
He has, and he has
into the middle at least.
He's fairly well positioned right now. I'd say fairly well positioned to win re-election in 2013 in New Jersey. It would help him a lot if Obama gets reelected this year, because New Jersey has that tendency to kind of go opposite whoever just won the presidential race. So, and he does. The thing about Christie is he really does enjoy being governor. So I think his long game is probably more 2016. But you're right. This story will not go away. You know, this murder will not go away. If he runs for president in 2016, this is something that will haunt him.
The New York Times series is filled with stories of escapes from these halfway houses that are owned by Palatucci, and they don't even have any attempt or even any method in place to stop escapes.
Well, and that's the thing. It's important to understand that this halfway house system in New Jersey really is the product of both parties. It isn't something that just started under Christie. Now, Christie was a lobbyist for this company. His friend's the senior vice president with it. This is all true, and they've done well under his tenure. But I think the most damning thing about this is simply that the murder was 2 years ago. There was a promise of an investigation and reform, and 2 years later, there's no evidence that any of that ever happened.
All right, control room, zoom in on that X on Chris Christie. It's staying on him. He is X'd out of the Veep stakes. We'll keep the face on the board just to keep track of where everybody is. That's the end of the Christie possibility for vice president. Steve Kornacki, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Sure.
Coming up, Jon Stewart reveals just how easy it is to catch Sean Hannity in a really, really big lie. The Rewrite is coming up.